Have you ever looked at your morning protein shake, that glossy label promising strength and clean energy, and thought, I'm doing something good for my body? What if I told you that very same shake could be quietly destroying your kidneys faster than a daily donut habit? I know that sounds impossible, almost unfair, but I've seen it happen again and again in people who were doing everything right. They show up to my clinic exhausted, puffy around the eyes, frustrated that their blood tests keep getting worse even though they've given up soda-processed foods and fast food years ago. They're proud of their discipline, yet something deep inside their body is silently falling apart. And the cruel truth is, your kidneys almost never complain. They just keep working, filtering your blood day and night until one day, they can't anymore. Unlike your heart that races when it's in trouble or your lungs that cough when they're irritated, your kidneys whisper. You can lose up to 90% of their function before you ever feel a single symptom. And by the time the swelling, the fatigue, or the high blood pressure appears, it's often already late, sometimes too late to reverse. I'm Dr. Johnny, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a hidden pattern that almost no one talks about. The truth that the very proteins most people believe are keeping them strong may actually be suffocating their kidneys from the inside out. But don't worry, there's hope. Because once you understand the difference between proteins that build you up and proteins that break you down, you'll have the power to protect your kidneys, lower your creatinine, and reclaim your energy for good. This isn't about fear, it's about control. The kind that starts the moment you realize that healthy doesn't always mean safe. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll never look at your next meal or your next lab result the same way again. When we hear the word protein, we instantly think of health, muscle, energy, strength, discipline. For decades, we've been told that protein is pure good, the fuel of life. But what if I told you that when your kidneys start to weaken, that same fuel turns into fire? A silent chemical storm building inside your body, one scoop, one bite at a time. I remember a patient named Thomas. He was 58, fit, proud of his morning routine. 2 eggs, a few slices of bacon, sometimes a protein shake for that extra boost. No junk food, no smoking, barely any alcohol. From the outside, he was doing everything right. But slowly the signs began to whisper. His ankles started to swell. His energy faded. His blood pressure crept higher no matter how clean he ate. When we ran his labs, his creatinine had doubled in just 2 years. The culprit wasn't laziness or sugar. It was protein overload. You see, every gram of protein breaks down into nitrogen compounds, phosphorus, and acid. For healthy kidneys, that's easy work. But when those microscopic filters, the nephrons, are even slightly damaged, waste starts to build up in the blood, turning it thick and toxic like oil instead of water. That's when you feel the fog, the nausea, the heavy fatigue that no coffee can fix. It's your body drowning in its own waste. According to the National Kidney Foundation, nearly 37 million Americans already have some stage of chronic kidney disease, and 9 out of 10 don't even know it. They feel fine. Until one morning their lab results tell a very different story. And here's what most people miss. The danger doesn't always come from fast food or soda. It often hides behind the label healthy. Because the real threat isn't just protein itself, it's the kind of protein you choose and how your kidneys process it once they're already under pressure. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next is even more dangerous, hidden in the foods you probably eat every single week without realizing it. But only understanding that protein can become poison isn't enough, because the next 2 sources of healthy protein are far more deceptive, and most people have them sitting in their fridge right now. The scary part is that most people think the danger comes from fast food, but the truth hides in what looks clean, lean, and healthy. I'm talking about the everyday meats stacked neatly in your fridge: turkey slices, deli ham, bacon, cold cuts. They look harmless, even heart smart. But inside every slice hides a slow-release toxin your kidneys can't fight forever. Let me tell you about Robert, a 64-year-old retired teacher. He prided himself on clean eating. No fried food, no sugar, just whole grain sandwiches with lean turkey and plenty of water. Yet his ankles puffed up every afternoon. His blood pressure refused to drop no matter what medication he took. When we checked his labs, his phosphorus levels were through the roof, and his kidney function had quietly slipped into stage 3. The real killer wasn't the meat, it was the chemicals hiding inside it. Those turkey slices and cold cuts were loaded with inorganic phosphates additives designed to lock in moisture and flavor. But here's what they don't tell you: your body absorbs almost 100% of those synthetic phosphates, double what it would from natural food. And every bit of that excess phosphorus steals calcium from your bones, hardens your arteries, and accelerates kidney scarring. A single healthy sandwich can carry more phosphorus than a full home-cooked dinner. Add the sodium, often 700 to 1,000 milligrams per serving, and you've built the perfect storm for high blood pressure, swelling, and fluid overload. Studies from the European Journal of Nutrition and the American Society of Nephrology confirm this. Regular intake of phosphate-enhanced meats sharply increases cardiovascular risk and speeds kidney decline, even in the early stages of CKD. What makes this even more dangerous is how deceptive it feels. Grocery aisles label them as lean, low-fat, natural, even heart-healthy. But those shiny labels hide what your kidneys fear the most. The next time you unwrap that turkey pack, remember, it's not the calories that matter, it's the chemistry. So what can you do instead? Swap the convenience trap for real food. Bake or grill fresh chicken breast. Choose wild white fish. Try organic tofu with herbs instead of salt. These options give your body the protein it needs without the phosphate assault that pushes your kidneys closer to the edge. But just cutting out processed meats isn't enough, because the next kind of healthy protein doesn't come from your fridge at all. It comes from your blender, and it's even more dangerous than bacon. You might think you've escaped the processed meat trap by swapping your lunch for a shiny tub of protein powder. It feels smart, right? Fast, convenient, clean. You toss a scoop into your blender, shake it up, and feel like you're fueling progress. But here's the twist: that innocent shake might be hitting your kidneys harder than any slice of bacon ever could. I'll never forget David, a 52-year-old software engineer who decided to get back in shape. Every morning before work and again after dinner, he'd mix 2 heaping scoops of whey isolate, 30 grams of protein, each, believing he was doing everything right. But within months, his energy began to tank. His blood pressure crept up. And when his lab results came in, his creatinine levels had spiked. His kidneys were screaming for help, but all he heard was gain muscle. The science behind it is brutal. Whey and casein isolates deliver massive doses of protein in minutes, levels your body would never encounter in nature. Healthy kidneys can handle the surge, but damaged ones can't keep up. Every scoop floods your system with nitrogen waste, phosphorus, and acid, forcing your nephrons to drain a chemical storm through filters already struggling to survive. And here's the part a few people realize: many powders hide synthetic phosphate salts to help them mix smoothly and last longer. Labels disguise them with names like sodium hexametaphosphate or calcium caseinate. Your body absorbs nearly 100% of these additives, sending your blood phosphorus skyrocketing. That leads to vascular calcification, your arteries literally stiffening from the inside, and bone loss that creeps in silently. A study in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that high-dose protein supplements raised creatinine and blood urea nitrogen within just 4 weeks in people with reduced kidney function. 4 weeks, that's all it takes for a healthy shake habit to turn into a silent kidney crisis. If you're reaching for protein powder thinking it's progress, pause. Your kidneys don't need shock doses, they need balance. Choose real food proteins that digest slowly and cleanly: egg whites, baked white fish, organic tofu. Your muscles will still grow, your energy will stay steady, and your kidneys will finally breathe again. But only avoiding powders won't save you yet, because the next type of healthy protein looks premium, even gourmet, yet it slowly burns your kidneys from the inside out. You might think that cutting out powders and processed meats is enough, that you're finally safe. But there's one more protein that almost everyone still trusts, one that looks wholesome, powerful, even primal. Red meat, beef, lamb steak, the foods we associate with vitality and strength. Yet inside that juicy steak lies something far more dangerous for your kidneys: acid, uric acid, and inflammation that slowly burn your filters from the inside out. I remember Helen, 68, who loved her weekly steak nights with her husband. She believed she was making the smart choice: lean cuts grilled instead of fried, no heavy sauces. But month after month, her uric acid crept higher. Her blood pressure stayed stubborn. When her GFR finally dropped below 45, she looked at me and said, "How can something so normal be so damaging?" The answer was hiding in her plate. Red meat is loaded with purines, natural compounds that break down into uric acid. In healthy kidneys, that acid leaves the body easily. But when filtration weakens, uric acid lingers, forming microscopic crystals that scrape and scar the nephron walls like sandpaper against glass. Over time, this invisible damage compounds, shrinking kidney capacity one meal at a time. A 15-year study in JAMA Internal Medicine tracking over 63,000 adults found that each additional daily serving of red meat raised the risk of chronic kidney disease by 23%. And that's only half the story. Red meat also creates a heavy acid load that forces your kidneys to neutralize it by leaching calcium and magnesium from your bones, while the saturated fats clog tiny renal blood vessels, starving those filters of oxygen. The result? Inflammation, pressure, and gradual failure. When Helen swapped 2 of her weekly steak dinners for wild white fish and organic tofu, her labs began to shift within a month. Her uric acid fell, her swelling faded, and for the first time in years, her numbers finally moved in the right direction. That's not luck, it's chemistry. You don't have to give up flavor to protect your kidneys, only the habits that quietly poison them. But even that isn't the full picture, because not all plant proteins are as innocent as they seem, and one healthy food hiding in almost every pantry can overload your kidneys just as fast as meat. But knowing this still isn't enough, because the next so-called plant-based protein seems harmless, yet its hidden mix of salt, potassium, and phosphorus can push your kidneys right to the edge. You'd think switching to plants would finally make your kidneys safe, right? After all, every health article says go plant-based. And yes, plant proteins are gentler until you open the can. Because hidden inside that can of black beans or chickpeas that you thought was your salvation lies a triple threat of sodium, potassium, and phosphate additives quietly pushing your kidneys toward overload. Meet Gloria, 59, a stage 4 CKD patient who proudly told me she had gone all natural. No meat, no processed food, no soda, just beans, vegetables, and salads every day. But despite her discipline, her potassium levels kept climbing. Her bones were weakening. She couldn't understand why her labs were getting worse when her diet looked so clean. The truth was sitting right on her kitchen shelf. Canned beans, even the ones labeled organic or low sodium, are often stored in brine, loaded with salt and phosphate preservatives. 1 cup can carry over 600 milligrams of potassium and nearly 500 milligrams of sodium. For healthy kidneys, that's manageable. But when your filtration rate drops, those minerals start to accumulate in the blood. Too much potassium causes hyperkalemia, a dangerous condition that interferes with the electrical rhythm of your heart. It can literally stop it. And phosphate additives, they're the same inorganic compounds found in processed meats, absorbed almost 100% by the body. Over time, they trigger hormonal changes that steal calcium from your bones and harden your blood vessels, a process called vascular calcification. The New England Journal of Medicine has shown that uncontrolled phosphate levels are directly linked to higher mortality in kidney patients. So while beans themselves are healthy, the way they're prepared can quietly turn them into a kidney stress bomb. But the fix is simple and powerful. Choose dried beans instead of canned. Soak them overnight, rinse, and cook them yourself without salt. Just that one change can cut sodium and potassium almost in half. When Gloria made that switch and limited her portions to half a cup per meal, her potassium normalized, her energy returned, and for the first time she said, "I feel in control instead of scared." Small details save kidneys. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. Because every label you read, every meal you prepare is a vote for how your kidneys will feel 6 months from now. But knowing how to avoid harm is just half the battle, because now it's time to discover the 4 proteins that can actually help your kidneys heal from the inside out. After everything we've covered, you might be thinking, is there anything left that's safe to eat? Yes, and it might surprise you, because one of the simplest, most overlooked foods on your plate is also one of the most powerful allies your kidneys have: white rice. I know what you're thinking. Rice, isn't that just empty carbs? Not exactly. When kidney function declines, your body needs energy that doesn't create waste, and that's exactly what white rice provides. It's low in potassium, low in phosphorus, and incredibly gentle on digestion. Think of it as a soft cushion for your kidneys, a way to give them rest while still fueling your body. I once worked with Aaron, a 57-year-old accountant who had sworn off carbs because he was told they were bad. But after months of fatigue and rising creatinine, we discovered the problem: his body was breaking down its own muscle tissue for energy, flooding his blood with nitrogen waste. When we reintroduced small portions of white rice into his meals alongside moderate protein, his labs began to stabilize. His energy returned. He said it felt like his body finally stopped fighting itself. There's real science behind that. A half cup of cooked white rice contains only about 2 grams of protein and very little phosphorus, far less than brown rice or whole grains. For struggling kidneys, that small difference means less acid, less waste, and smoother filtration. The gentle glucose in rice also spares muscle breakdown, preventing BUN and creatinine spikes. Here's the key portion imbalance. Combine rice with low-phosphorus, kidney-friendly proteins like tofu or fish, and you create the perfect metabolic balance. White rice doesn't heal your kidneys by itself, but it gives them the breathing room they desperately need to recover. When you stop fearing rice and start using it strategically, it stops being an empty carb and becomes a form of therapy. Because sometimes healing doesn't come from something new or expensive. It comes from something simple you've had all along. But rice alone can't rebuild damaged tissue because the next food isn't just gentle, it's regenerative. A plant-based protein so powerful, researchers are calling it a natural kidney shield. If white rice gives your kidneys a place to rest, then tofu helps them rebuild. It's humble, plant-based, and often underestimated, yet inside that soft, pale block lies one of the most kidney-protective proteins on Earth. I remember Patricia, 66, a retired nurse, who had been battling stage 3 kidney disease for years. She'd tried everything: supplements, detox teas, endless online diets, but nothing worked. Her blood tests kept sliding in the wrong direction, and she told me, "I feel like my kidneys are just wearing out." But when we made one simple change, swapping 3 of her weekly meat meals for tofu dishes, something incredible happened. Within a month, her bun levels dropped, her swelling faded, her mind felt clearer. She looked at me and said, "I didn't think something this simple could make such a difference." And she was right, because tofu's power is more chemistry than magic. Unlike animal proteins, soy protein creates far less acid when it's metabolized. That means your kidneys don't have to work as hard to neutralize it. It also contains isoflavones, natural plant compounds shown in multiple studies like those published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition to reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in kidney tissue. Unlike red meat, tofu doesn't spike uric acid or phosphorus, and it helps stabilize blood pressure instead of raising it. Tofu's versatility makes it easy to love once you learn how to prepare it. Press it to remove excess water, cut it into cubes and bake, or grill it with herbs, turmeric, or garlic instead of salt. You can even blend silken tofu into smoothies for a clean protein boost that won't overload your kidneys. Choose organic, non-GMO tofu, and you'll avoid the additives and sodium that cheap varieties hide. Patricia's case isn't rare. It's a glimpse into what happens when you stop fighting your kidneys and start working with them. Tofu doesn't just protect, it supports, replenishes, and restores balance from the inside out. But healing isn't about one food, it's about building the right rhythm. Because if tofu is the gentle healer, the next food acts like a reset button, a clean ocean-source protein that calms inflammation and helps your kidneys breathe again. But knowing about tofu is just the beginning, because the next protein doesn't grow on land at all. It comes from the ocean, and it might just be the missing piece your kidneys have been waiting for. If tofu is the quiet healer, then wild white fish is the great reset. It's clean, light, and restorative, the kind of protein that gives your kidneys exactly what they need: nourishment without punishment. I'll never forget Richard, 71, who came to me with a quiet fear. His creatinine had been creeping higher for months, and every lab visit felt like waiting for bad news. He'd already switched to healthy foods, chicken protein, shake salads, but his swelling wouldn't go away. His numbers kept slipping. When we replaced his chicken and red meat with baked cod twice a week, something remarkable happened. Within 2 months, his phosphorus normalized, his blood pressure steadied, his ankles stopped puffing up, and he told me, "For the first time in years, I feel light inside." That's not coincidence, it's chemistry. A 3-ounce serving of cooked cod delivers around 20 grams of complete protein, but only about 117 milligrams of phosphorus, far less than beef, pork, or even chicken. It's also naturally low in saturated fat, protecting the tiny blood vessels in your kidneys from the inflammation and stiffness that animal fats create. And let's not forget the omega-3 fatty acids found in whitefish. While not as concentrated as in salmon, they still help calm inflammation, one of the root causes of kidney decline. A clinical study published in the American Journal of Nephrology showed that regular fish consumption was linked to better kidney filtration rates and slower disease progression. The ocean's purity becomes your internal reset. Cooking it right makes all the difference. Bake, steam, or gently poach it with a drizzle of olive oil, lemon, and herbs. Skip the frying skip, the breading skip, the sauces. They undo everything your kidneys are trying to heal. Keep it simple, keep it pure, and let your body do the rest. When you eat wild white fish, you're not just feeding your body. You're giving your kidneys oxygen, calm, and balance. It's nourishment that works with your body, not against it. Still, there's one more protein that might just outshine them all. It's affordable, effortless, and almost perfectly designed by nature for people with kidney concerns. But even this ocean reset isn't the end of the story, because the next protein is so pure, so efficient, that some doctors call it nature's perfect food for your kidneys. If wild fish is the ocean's reset, then egg whites are nature's masterpiece. The closest thing to a perfect protein your kidneys will ever meet. Pure, light, and powerful, they give your body exactly what it needs and almost nothing it doesn't. No excess phosphorus, no potassium overload, no hidden fats. Just clean, efficient nutrition that your kidneys can process with ease. I remember Susan, 63, who came to me exhausted and discouraged. She had tried cutting out meat-skipped protein shakes, even avoided protein altogether, because she was terrified it would raise her creatinine. But the result was worse. She lost energy, felt weak, and her lab results kept declining. When we added just 4 egg whites a day, scrambled, boiled, sometimes blended into oatmeal, her numbers began to change. Within 3 weeks, her phosphorus dropped. The swelling in her legs disappeared. And she said something I'll never forget, "Doctor, I feel light again, like my body finally exhaled." There's a reason her body responded that way. Each egg white contains about 3.6 grams of protein and only 2 milligrams of phosphorus compared to nearly 66 milligrams in a whole egg. They're extremely low in sodium, potassium, and purines, which means they don't trigger the dangerous spikes that stress fragile kidneys. The protein inside, called albumin, has a biological value of 100, which means your body absorbs and uses nearly every bit of it without leaving behind toxic waste. That's why hospitals and dialysis centers often recommend egg whites. They deliver the maximum nutrition with the minimum metabolic cost. But remember this, they must be cooked fully. Raw egg whites can block biotin absorption over time, which affects your nerves and metabolism. So boil them, steam them, or gently scramble them with herbs and olive oil. Never fry or drown them in butter and salt. You can even use pasteurized liquid egg whites for convenience, as long as the label says no additives. When Susan saw her results, she realized something powerful. Healing doesn't always come from expensive supplements or rare superfoods. Sometimes it's the simplest choices that make the biggest difference. Your kidneys don't need perfection. They need consistency, compassion, and balance, the kind that comes from real whole food. And egg whites, humble as they seem, deliver exactly that. But knowing which proteins to eat is only half the battle, because what truly transforms your kidneys isn't just what's on your plate. It's how you use that knowledge every single day. Now that you know which proteins harm your kidneys and which ones help them heal, the real question is, what will you do with that knowledge? Because information alone doesn't save your kidneys. Consistency does. Every meal you eat is a small vote for your future health, and your kidneys quietly count every one of them. So here's how to start today. First, take what I call a 3-day protein audit. Don't change anything yet, just observe. Write down everything you eat or drink that contains protein from breakfast to dinner, including shakes, snacks, or even healthy bars. When you see it on paper, the truth hits differently. You'll start to notice patterns: processed meats sneaking in powder scoops, piling up portions larger than you realized. Awareness is the first step toward healing. Next, make small strategic swaps. Replace your morning bacon with egg whites. Trade your deli sandwich for baked fish or a tofu stir-fry. Choose fresh chicken or cod instead of anything wrapped in plastic. Don't try to be perfect, just aim for progress. One better choice a day compounds over time, quietly shifting your blood work in the right direction. Then learn one simple way to cook each kidney-safe protein. Maybe it's baked cod with lemon and herbs tofu grilled with olive oil and garlic, or a small bowl of steamed rice paired with egg whites. When healthy food is easy and enjoyable, you'll actually stick with it. Finally, spread your protein throughout the day instead of loading it all at once. Around 3 to 4 ounces per meal, that's about the size of your palm, helps your metabolism stay steady and keeps your kidneys from working overtime. And here's the beautiful part. When you start making these tiny shifts, your body begins to thank you quietly at first, then powerfully. Within weeks, you'll feel lighter. Your swelling may go down, your energy will rise. And when you look at your next lab results, you'll see proof that your choices matter. Because healing isn't a miracle, it's math. Every clean decision adds up. Every mindful swap compounds. Every day you stay consistent, your kidneys get stronger. But before we wrap up, there's one final truth. I want you to remember something that could completely change the way you see your own recovery. You've made it this far, and that already says a lot about you. It means you care about your body, about your future, and you're ready to take control instead of waiting for things to get worse. Remember, you don't have to change everything overnight. Real healing starts with small, steady choices, one meal, one swap, one mindful decision at a time. If this video helped you understand your kidneys better, don't just let it scroll away. Save it so you can come back to it whenever you need a reminder. And make sure you subscribe to this channel and tap the notification bell, because every week I share new science-based tips to help you protect your kidneys, balance your diet, and regain the energy you thought you'd lost. I read every comment, and I truly want to hear from you. What small change will you start today? Your story might be the one that inspires someone else to save their kidneys too. And finally, remember this: you are not powerless. Even if your numbers have gone up, even if you feel tired or afraid, your kidneys still have a chance to recover, one smart choice at a time. Healing isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about hope. So take a deep breath, open your fridge, and remember, your next meal is your next opportunity.